The story begins with the woman, a 23-year-old, casually checking her Facebook Messenger spam folder. She isn't expecting anything unusual, but something compels her to look. To her surprise, she finds a message from an unknown sender. The sender has a girl's name, but the woman does not recognize it. The message itself is shocking. It claims that the sender has been involved with the woman's boyfriend for quite some time. The message is direct and unsettling. The sender writes, "How long have you and boyfriend been dating? Because we've been sleeping together for quite a while. I just found out about you. Thought you should know. I don't care about him, so good luck. You won't hear from me again." This kind of message immediately creates an emotional storm. The woman is confronted with an accusation she wasn't prepared for, one that, if true, could completely change her relationship and the way she views her boyfriend. Several things stand out in the message. First, the sender does not express any emotional attachment to the boyfriend. She doesn't claim to love him, miss him, or fight for him. Instead, she states that she doesn't care about him at all. This could suggest that she is being brutally honest, warning the woman without any ulterior motives. However, it could also mean she is lying or playing a cruel prank. Another crucial detail is that the sender explicitly says she won't contact the woman again. This implies that she isn't looking for drama or confrontation. She just wanted to inform her and then disappear. If this were a fake accusation, one might expect the sender to keep messaging, demanding a reaction, or trying to provoke a fight. Instead, she sends a single message and vanishes. At this moment, the woman is in shock. She wasn't looking for problems in her relationship, yet suddenly, she is faced with the possibility that her boyfriend has been unfaithful. The message raises many questions. Who is this woman? How did she find out about her? How does she know they are dating? Is she telling the truth? There is no immediate answer to any of these questions, and the uncertainty makes the situation even worse. While the woman may have initially hoped it was just spam or a mistake, the nature of the message makes it impossible to ignore. The mention of her boyfriend by name confirms that the sender knows something about him. The accusation, though unproven, now plants a seed of doubt in the woman's mind. Even if she had complete trust in her boyfriend before, it is difficult to completely disregard a claim like this without some level of investigation. At this stage, she is not sure how to react. Should she bring it up to her boyfriend? Should she try to find out more about the sender first? Or should she ignore it altogether? The message leaves her feeling unsettled, confused, and anxious. She now has a decision to make, and whatever she chooses could have serious consequences for her relationship. After reading the shocking message, the woman's first instinct is to respond. She wants answers. Who is this person, and why is she making such a claim? If this is a real accusation, she needs more details. If it's a lie, she wants to confront the sender for spreading false information. However, when she tries to reply, she realizes that she has been blocked. This immediately raises red flags. Blocking someone after sending such a serious message is unusual. If the sender was genuinely trying to warn her, why wouldn't she allow a conversation? Was she afraid of being confronted with questions? Or was she telling the truth but just wanted to deliver the message without getting involved in any further drama? The woman, determined to find answers, decides to investigate further. Since she cannot reply, she tries a different approach, using another account. If the sender blocked only her primary account, she should still be able to see the profile from a different one. However, when she searches for the profile using a separate account, she finds nothing. The account is completely gone. There is no trace of the sender anywhere. This leads her to believe that the message came from a throwaway account, a fake profile created just to send the message and then disappear. This realization makes the situation even more confusing. If the sender was being truthful, why would she go through the trouble of making a fake account? Normally, if someone wants to expose a cheater, they wouldn't hide their identity. They would want to be believed, so they would provide proof or at least remain available for follow-up questions. But this sender did the opposite. She made it impossible to verify anything. Now, the woman is stuck. She has no way to confirm whether the message was real or fake. If she could have found the profile, she might have been able to check the sender's friends, pictures, or posts for clues. Maybe she would have discovered a mutual friend who could verify if this person was real. But with the profile completely deleted, there is no evidence left behind. This creates a frustrating dilemma. If the sender was lying, she went through an elaborate process to trick the woman, creating a fake account, sending a message, and then erasing all traces. But why would someone go to such lengths to play a cruel prank? If the sender was telling the truth, why wouldn't she provide more proof or allow further discussion? Wouldn't she want the woman to know everything? Without any way to verify the claim, the woman is left with only doubt and uncertainty. The lack of evidence does not prove her boyfriend's innocence, but it also does not prove his guilt. This makes it extremely difficult to decide what to do next. At this point, her emotions start to shift from shock to frustration. She is not just upset about the possibility of cheating, she is also angry that someone has put her in this position. Whether it's a cruel prank or a real warning, she is now forced to question the trust she has in her boyfriend. Even though she still doesn't have answers, one thing is clear: this situation cannot be ignored. The message, the disappearance of the sender, and the inability to verify anything have already planted a seed of doubt in her mind. And once doubt enters a relationship, it is very hard to remove. After realizing that she cannot verify the sender's identity, the woman faces a difficult choice. Should she tell her boyfriend about the message or keep it to herself until she has more evidence? The uncertainty is overwhelming, but ultimately, she decides she cannot ignore it. If there's even a small chance that the message is true, she needs to know. So, she shows the message to her boyfriend, hoping for a reasonable explanation. Maybe he will recognize the name, admit to past mistakes, or provide reassurance that will ease her doubts. Instead, his reaction is immediate and defensive. Rather than calmly addressing the situation, he gets angry. He doesn't ask to see the message again or express concern about where it came from. Instead, he jumps straight into denial and insults, telling her she is stupid for believing it. This response is a huge red flag. A partner who is falsely accused would typically react with confusion or concern, not immediate hostility. If he were innocent, he might say, "Who is this person? Let's figure out what's going on. I swear I have no idea who this is. Maybe someone is trying to mess with us. That's not true, and I can prove it." Instead, his first instinct is to attack her intelligence. This is a classic defensive mechanism. When someone feels cornered, they try to shift the focus away from themselves by making the other person feel bad. By calling her stupid, he is attempting to make her question her own judgment rather than his actions. His defensiveness also suggests that he may have something to hide. When people are wrongfully accused, they usually respond with shock, confusion, or an eagerness to clear their name. But when people are guilty, they often react with anger, blame, and avoidance. The fact that he does not ask who sent the message or how they got her name is suspicious. It's almost as if he already knows what the message is about and just wants to shut the conversation down. This reaction puts the woman in an even worse position. She was already struggling with doubt, and now she has even more reasons to be suspicious. If he had calmly denied the accusation, reassured her, and helped her investigate, she might have felt relief. But his hostility and avoidance only add to her growing fear that something is wrong. Now, she is left with even more questions. Why did he get so defensive so quickly? If he's innocent, why didn't he show more concern? Why did he insult her instead of reassuring her? At this moment, the woman's feelings begin to shift from confusion to deep discomfort. Even if she wanted to believe her boyfriend, his reaction has only made it harder. She expected him to be on her side, helping her figure out what was going on. Instead, he dismissed her concerns and made her feel foolish for even asking. This is a pivotal moment in the story because it deepens her uncertainty. If the message was a cruel prank, then her boyfriend should have been able to calmly prove his innocence. But because he reacted with anger and insults, the seed of doubt that was planted in her mind has now begun to take root. Now, she is left wondering, was this message really a lie, or did it expose something she wasn't meant to know? After her boyfriend's aggressive reaction, the woman is left feeling more confused than before. She had hoped that showing him the message would lead to clarity. Either he would reassure her with a reasonable explanation, or he would admit to something that confirmed her worst fears. But instead, his immediate defensiveness and insults only deepened her uncertainty. Now, she is trapped in an emotional tug-of-war between logic and feelings. On one hand, she doesn't want to believe the message. She has been in a relationship with this man, she cares about him, and she has never had proof of cheating before. Maybe the message really was a cruel joke. Maybe someone is just trying to create drama. If she lets doubt control her, she could end up ruining a perfectly good relationship over something fake. On the other hand, she cannot ignore the facts. Someone went out of their way to send this message. Even though the account was deleted, it was still created for a reason. And instead of helping her get to the truth, her boyfriend immediately attacked her for even questioning him. If there was nothing to hide, why did he act that way? If the roles were reversed and he had received a message about her cheating, wouldn't he want answers too? This uncertainty starts to affect her emotionally. She keeps replaying the situation in her mind, trying to figure out the right course of action. The problem is that there is no clear proof of anything. The message could be a lie, but it could also be the truth. Her boyfriend could be innocent, but his reaction made her question everything. This situation also shakes her trust in the relationship. Even if nothing is actually wrong, just the possibility of betrayal is enough to create distance between them. She no longer feels completely secure in the relationship. She starts overanalyzing things, his past behavior, his online activity, the way he talks to her. Suddenly, little things that she would have ignored before start to feel suspicious. For example, she might begin questioning. Has he ever been overly protective of his phone? Does he get defensive often when questioned about something? Has he ever disappeared for hours without a clear explanation? Have there been inconsistencies in his stories before? Once doubt enters a relationship, it is almost impossible to erase. Even if she decides to ignore the message, the thought of it will always be in the back of her mind. She will wonder if she is being naive by trusting him. Every time he acts distant or suspicious, she will think about this moment. At the same time, she struggles with the fear of overreacting. If she pushes too hard for answers, she could damage the relationship beyond repair, even if he is innocent. She worries that bringing it up again will create more conflict, making her seem paranoid or insecure. This internal battle between trust and self-protection makes it difficult for her to know what to do next. She feels emotionally exhausted. She didn't ask for this drama, yet now it has taken over her thoughts. No matter what she does, there is no easy solution. She either has to let go of the doubt and hope for the best or continue looking for answers and risk pushing her boyfriend further away. At this moment, she truly doesn't know what to believe. All she knows is that this situation has changed the way she sees her relationship, and she can't ignore that. As the woman wrestles with her doubts, she starts to reflect on her boyfriend's past behavior online. She acknowledges that he can sometimes be a menace on the internet, which makes her wonder if this situation is a result of his online actions rather than actual cheating. Her boyfriend's digital presence suddenly becomes an important factor in this mystery. If he is the type to argue with people online, flirt recklessly, or engage in risky interactions, it's possible that someone he upset decided to create a fake message just to cause problems. On the surface, this theory might make sense. It would explain why the sender deleted the account so quickly and why there was no way to track them. It could have been a revenge tactic from someone who simply wanted to mess with him. But at the same time, this raises another question. What kind of online behavior could provoke someone to do this? If her boyfriend has a habit of flirting with other women, lying, or making enemies online, that still doesn't make him a cheater, but it also doesn't make him completely trustworthy either. The fact that she even has to consider this possibility means that she already knows he is capable of acting recklessly. She begins to think about past instances where he might have crossed boundaries. Maybe she's seen him liking too many flirty posts, leaving inappropriate comments, or messaging people in ways that made her uncomfortable. Maybe he has dismissed her concerns before by calling her crazy or paranoid when she questioned certain behaviors. If he has a pattern of disrespecting relationship boundaries online, then even if he isn't physically cheating, he could still be doing things that would justify someone sending that message. This realization makes her feel even more conflicted. If her boyfriend is just careless online, then this could all be a misunderstanding. But if he is secretly entertaining other women, then the message might have some truth to it. She also considers another possibility. Was this message a warning from someone he actually talked to online? Maybe he didn't physically cheat, but he might have been emotionally unfaithful by messaging someone romantically. If that's the case, the sender could have been a woman he led on, only for her to later discover that he was already in a relationship. That would explain the bitter tone of the message and why the sender didn't care about him. She might have felt used and wanted to warn his girlfriend before disappearing. The more she thinks about it, the more she realizes how little she truly knows about his online life. He could be loyal and just reckless, or he could be hiding something bigger. Without access to his messages or social media activity, she has no way to confirm anything. At this point, her paranoia starts to grow. If he was truly innocent, shouldn't he be more eager to prove it? Why didn't he offer to show his messages or provide any reassurance beyond getting angry? His lack of transparency makes it harder for her to trust him. This uncertainty creates a shift in her emotions. She is no longer just questioning the message itself, she is now questioning her entire relationship. If she has to wonder this much about whether or not he is being honest, then maybe there is already something wrong. Even if the message was fake, it has forced her to see her boyfriend's behavior in a new light. Now, she must decide, does she let this go and try to trust him, or does she start looking for answers on her own? Now that doubt has fully taken root, the woman feels an overwhelming need for answers. The message was vague, the sender disappeared, and her boyfriend's defensive reaction only made things worse. But the biggest issue she faces now is that she has no way to investigate further. If she had a name, a profile, or even a screenshot of the message before it vanished, she might have been able to track something down. But the sender made sure to erase all traces. This leaves her with nothing but a suspicion and no solid proof. Her first instinct is to search social media for any potential connections. She looks through her boyfriend's friends list, his tagged photos, and his comments, hoping to find someone who could be the mysterious sender. But she quickly realizes that this is like searching for a ghost. There is no way to know who sent the message, and if it was a fake account, she wouldn't find them anyway. She then considers looking for clues in her boyfriend's behavior and habits. Has he been secretive with his phone? Has he changed his passwords recently? Does he spend more time online late at night? Has he suddenly become extra attentive to her, as if to cover up guilt? Even the smallest details now feel significant, but without concrete proof, she can't confront him again without seeming paranoid. Another approach she thinks about is asking his friends if they know anything. Maybe one of them has seen him flirting with someone else or knows about a past situation that could explain this. But this idea comes with risks. If he really is innocent, she could make things worse by bringing in outside people. His friends might tell him what she's doing, which could lead to an even bigger argument. At this point, she starts to feel helpless. Every logical path to discovering the truth leads to a dead end. She also wonders if she should wait and see if any new information surfaces. If he really is cheating, there's a chance he will slip up eventually. Maybe the same person will send another message. Maybe she will come across a suspicious text or see something unusual on his phone. But waiting means living with doubt, and she's not sure she can handle that. Another option she considers, one she never thought she would, is checking his phone. She doesn't want to be the kind of person who invades her partner's privacy, but at this point, she feels like she has been left with no choice. If she finds nothing, she can finally let go of this doubt. But if she finds something suspicious, she will know the message was telling the truth. However, she knows that going through his phone crosses a moral line. If he catches her, their trust could be completely destroyed, regardless of whether he was guilty or innocent. This situation is tearing her apart. She needs to know the truth, but she has no way to find it. At this moment, she realizes how unfair this is. Whether the message was real or fake, it has put her in an impossible situation. She never asked to be suspicious of her boyfriend. She never wanted to feel like she had to investigate someone she loved. But now, her peace of mind has been stolen, and she doesn't know how to get it back. Without proof, she feels stuck. If she lets it go, she risks being naive. If she digs deeper, she risks damaging the relationship. No matter what she does, there is no simple way forward. As time passes and she struggles with her next move, the emotional toll of the situation begins to weigh on her heavily. The initial shock of receiving the message has now turned into a constant state of anxiety, doubt, and emotional exhaustion. She finds herself questioning not just her boyfriend but also herself. Was she overreacting? Was she being paranoid? If the message was meant to mess with her head, then it was working. She feels completely drained and emotionally unstable. Her mind keeps replaying every possible scenario. What if it was real? That means she's being lied to by the person she trusts the most. What if it was fake? That means she's allowing an outsider to manipulate her and damage her relationship. What if she ignores it and gets hurt later? What if she pushes too hard and ruins the relationship over nothing? No matter how she looks at it, there is no peace of mind. She also notices that this doubt has changed the way she interacts with her boyfriend. She starts feeling distant, even when he's being kind or affectionate. When he says, "I love you," she hesitates before responding because a voice in her head asks, is he lying? When he goes out with friends, she wonders if he's really where he says he is. Even the way she looks at herself has changed. She feels insecure. Before the message, she felt confident in her relationship, but now she can't help but question if she was being naive all along. If her boyfriend was really cheating, does that mean she missed the signs? Did she trust too easily? She also feels frustrated with herself. A part of her wants to just let it go and move on, but another part refuses to ignore the warning. She doesn't want to be the type of person who lives in paranoia, but she also doesn't want to be the person who ignores red flags and gets hurt. The worst part is that she feels completely alone in this. She can't talk to her boyfriend about it because he already reacted badly the first time. She doesn't want to tell friends or family because they might judge her for staying in a relationship with doubts. She's stuck in her own head, and no matter how much she thinks about it, she can't find a way to make the anxiety disappear. At this point, she starts to realize something important. Even if her boyfriend isn't cheating, his reaction to the message revealed something troubling about their relationship. He didn't try to comfort her. He didn't offer any reassurance. He didn't try to investigate with her. Instead, he insulted her intelligence and shut the conversation down. This realization makes her question something even deeper. Is this the kind of relationship she wants to be in? Even if this specific accusation was false, what does his reaction say about how he treats her? Shouldn't a loving partner be understanding when she's upset instead of getting defensive and dismissive? At this moment, her emotions begin to shift. Instead of just feeling hurt and confused, she starts to feel angry. Not just at the situation, but at how she was made to feel stupid for even questioning things. Instead of offering love and security, her boyfriend responded with hostility and avoidance. Now, for the first time, she begins to think, maybe the problem isn't just the message. Maybe the problem is him. After days of emotional turmoil, sleepless nights, and relentless overthinking, the woman realizes that she can't keep living in this constant state of doubt and anxiety. Whether the message was real or fake, it has already done irreversible damage, not because of the accusation itself, but because of how her boyfriend handled the situation. Now, she faces the biggest question of all: what should she do next? She knows she has a few options. Stay in the relationship and ignore the message. She could try to move forward, convince herself that it was just a troll, and force herself to trust her boyfriend again. But deep down, she knows that the doubt will never fully go away. Every time he acts distant, every time he gets defensive about something small, the message will creep back into her mind. Could she really live with that uncertainty? Stay, but demand more transparency. She could sit him down and explain that his reaction made her uncomfortable. She could insist on more openness, maybe asking to see his messages, setting clearer boundaries, or working on rebuilding trust. But she also knows that if he really is hiding something, he will just find new ways to be secretive. Leave the relationship. She could walk away, not because she has proof that he cheated, but because she deserves to be with someone who makes her feel secure, not dismissed. Even if he was innocent, his aggressive, insulting response showed a lack of care and respect. A loving partner would have helped ease her fears, not make her feel stupid for having them. As she thinks about these choices, she starts to reflect on the bigger picture. If this relationship was truly healthy, would a single message have shaken it so badly? If her boyfriend really loved and respected her, wouldn't he have been more understanding instead of immediately defensive? Even if the message was fake, is she willing to live with the doubt that it planted in her mind? Then, she asks herself the hardest question of all: if my best friend was in my position, what would I tell her to do? The answer is painfully clear. If she saw someone else struggling with this situation, she would tell them that they deserve better. She would remind them that a relationship should be a place of love, trust, and security, not suspicion, secrecy, and emotional manipulation. With this realization, she makes her decision. She will not beg for answers. She will not let herself be gaslighted into thinking she's crazy. She will not stay in a relationship where her emotions are dismissed, her concerns are ignored, and her partner cannot even offer her the basic respect of a calm conversation. Even if she never finds out the full truth, she now understands something even more important. She deserves to be with someone who makes her feel safe, not uncertain. And so, for the first time in days, she feels a sense of clarity and peace. She may not have all the answers, but she finally knows what she has to do. She's walking away. Hook suggestion for the story. A strong hook should immediately grab the reader's attention, create intrigue, and establish the emotional tone of the story. Given that this story is filled with mystery, emotional conflict, and betrayal, the hook should reflect that intensity. Hook option 1, the unexpected message, suspenseful and direct. What would you do if a stranger told you that the person you love had been lying to you all along? That's exactly what happened to me when I found a message in my spam folder that shattered my sense of security in an instant. It was from a woman I had never met, claiming she had been sleeping with my boyfriend for months, and then, just as suddenly as she appeared, she was gone. No way to respond. No way to find her. Just her words, burning in my mind, and a boyfriend who only had one response when I confronted him: "You're stupid if you believe that." Small blue diamond. Why this works. Starts with a shocking question that immediately draws the reader in. Creates mystery and urgency, a secret message, an accusation, and a disappearing sender. Hints at emotional turmoil. The protagonist is already doubting her relationship and struggling with the truth. Ends with a powerful quote that reveals the boyfriend's reaction, making the reader want to know what happens next. Hook option 2, the relationship cracking apart, emotional and thought-provoking. They say trust is the foundation of every relationship. But what happens when a single message from a stranger is enough to make that foundation crumble? One text. A few words. A woman I had never met claiming that my boyfriend wasn't who I thought he was. And his reaction? Not reassurance. Not comfort. Just anger and insults. Was I being manipulated, or had I been blind all along? Small blue diamond. Why this works. Opens with a universal truth that readers can relate to. Uses a dramatic metaphor, crumble, to foreshadow emotional turmoil. Hints at the central conflict, not just the message, but the boyfriend's reaction. Ends with a compelling question that makes the reader want to keep reading. Hook option 3, the moment everything changed, dramatic and cinematic. I wasn't looking for a reason to doubt my boyfriend. I wasn't scrolling through his phone or searching for red flags. But then, out of nowhere, I saw it, a message tucked away in my spam folder, waiting like a bomb about to explode. How long have you and your boyfriend been dating? Because we've been sleeping together for quite a while. Just like that, my world split in two. The person I loved was either a liar, or I was the target of a cruel joke. Either way, I would never look at him the same way again. Small Blue Diamond. Why this works. Uses a cinematic storytelling approach, making the reader feel like they're in the moment. Creates a sense of inevitability. The protagonist wasn't even suspicious before, making the betrayal hit harder. The bomb waiting to explode metaphor emphasizes the sudden, irreversible impact of the message. Ends with an emotional turning point. Whether the message was real or fake, something inside her changed forever. Which hook works best? Each hook sets a different tone. Heavy checkmark. Suspenseful and direct. Option 1, best for grabbing immediate attention and creating tension. Heavy checkmark. Emotional and thought-provoking. Option 2, best for readers who connect with deep emotions and relationships. Heavy checkmark. Dramatic and cinematic. Option 3, best for storytelling that immerses the reader in a pivotal moment. Would you like me to refine one of these further, or do you have a particular mood you want to emphasize more?